Amazon stock takes a bath. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. We're going to talk about why Amazon stock fell so sharply, what was in the first quarter earnings report that spooked investors, where Amazon is weakest, and a word about other problems Amazon is making for itself that do not show up in earnings reports. First, I want to shout out to the sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views, link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down to the bottom of that link. Lots of good merchandise there, including this t-shirt. Can you read it? It says, Rhino Hunting. And I want to remind you, I am now a published author. Look for 2 new books titled Matthew's Run and Matthew's War, available right now at Amazon and at Barnes & Noble, to name 2. They tell the story of what our country and our world might look like after 380-odd years of wokeness, and about a cyborg with a conscience who also just doesn't like to be used, leading a rebellion against it. Soon you'll be able to buy these books right in our store. Now, before I get into Amazon, I want to remind you, I am not a financial analyst or a financial advisor. I just tell you what's already in the news about a company that might be doing well or poorly. Whether you think Amazon is a good investment long term or not is a judgment for you to make, not me. Bear that in mind as we dive deeper into today's Amazon story. Amazon, whose ticker symbol is AMZN on the New York Stock Exchange, fell more than 10% in after-hours trading after Amazon released its earnings report. That report showed the company losing $3.8 billion US, when most analysts expected it to make $4.4 billion. This is also the first time in many years that the company has lost money in a quarter. The sources for this story gave several reasons for the loss. First, the company earned $7.38 a share when analysts expected $8.36. Second, Amazon lost $7.6 billion on its 20% stake in Rivian, the electric truck and SUV maker. Rivian has lost 75% of its value since its initial public offering last October. Third, Amazon is not sure it will turn a profit in the second quarter, which we're in. Those same analysts expect Amazon to bring in good revenue from advertising and its cloud services unit. But Rivian is the weak spot. Rivian has gone into production, but they didn't lock in their battery supply as Tesla did. I have links in the description to 2 videos from other influencers describing Rivian's weaknesses and Tesla's strength in that market, especially with its new Cybertruck due to go into production in Texas this year or early next. Amazon also asked Rivian to build a fleet of last-mile delivery trucks for them. Now, by all accounts, they're great trucks, so that was probably a good order to place, but buying the stock, maybe not so much. The outlook for Amazon's online sales presents another weak spot. The pandemic is not as severe as everybody was afraid it would be, if it ever was, so people won't shut themselves in and watch Amazon Prime Video, among other things. All this comes as Amazon is making the news for another reason half its customers might not appreciate. Matt Walsh wrote a children's book titled Johnny the Walrus about a boy who thinks he's a walrus and how he gets wise to himself. That book has twice made bestseller in Amazon Books. In fact, it sold out after 18 months and is now in its 4th printing. Apparently, that does not make company staff happy. In fact, the firm's leadership literally held a staff meeting to deal with the trauma of that work being a bestseller. The infamous Libs of TikTok account on Twitter has video on it, and I have links in the description to those too. Now, wrap your minds around this. They've got a best-selling title, and they're talking about demoting it on their site. They even say it is going to get people killed. Well, if they felt that way, they shouldn't list it. Except that if they make that argument, they need to prove it in court. I don't think they can. Nor does it make good business sense to demote a product that is bringing in big bucks. With them losing money, they're going to cavil at a thing like this? And the most priceless thing, the host breaks down and cries during that session. Excuse me, you're a grown man. much like one. And get this, Amazon moved the book out of children's books to political commentary. But don't worry, Matt Walsh is a host at the Daily Wire, and now that they're opening up Daily Wire for Kids, he'll be selling his book there directly. The company, or at least some of its staff, seem to think their customers feel as they do. Well, perhaps some do, but at least half don't, and maybe most don't. Now, a company that just lost money for the first time in years should pay attention to things that might make it lose even more. Nor is this the worst thing with which employees must deal. Amazon employees seem to suffer more than their share of physical injuries on the job. Also, a worker won reinstatement after the company fired him for protesting working conditions. Maybe instead of theoretical psychological harms, the company should address actual physical ones. Links to the description of the article, to the 2 video tweets and 2 YouTube videos I mentioned, and to Conservative News and Views. I have another link to the awesome online store, as I mentioned. And if you like what you've heard, you can like this video and subscribe to this channel. This is Terry A. Hurlbut, delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.